Hi, it's Mary, a traditional Chinese medicine tutor and an acupuncturist in Canada. Today's video mainly explains that the Chinese pulse is much easier to learn than you might think, and you have already learned the majority of it, as the pulse theory is based on Yin-Yang theory in TCM. Pulse taking means a TCM practitioner uses their fingers to feel and press a patient's pulse. They get to know the disease and differentiate the syndrome according to the pulse condition.
Pulse taking is easier to learn than you think.
I know most of us, when facing the pulse diagnosis, we feel difficult because it's really something invisible. How can you just palpate the pulse part, the artery pulse, and from there infer the conditions? Plus there are 28, 29, even some books give 30 different types of pulse. How can we understand what is what? Pulse taking is actually not as difficult as you might thought, because it's kind of like you see the whole universe. Even our human, there's so many different types of person. They are from different religious grounds, from different country. You can group them by many different categories. So it makes you difficult to understand a different group of people. However, if you think humans are divided into yin-yang, there's two major categories of human, which is male and female. Put it together, you actually know a lot about different kinds of people. Other people, no matter what's their religious background, which country they came from, or their education, or their tribes, it's really a further development based on they are men or women. If we understand what is man, what is woman, you already know a lot about the humans, about many different types of humans. The same idea with the pulse diagnosis. Pulse also has yin-yang. When we make pulse diagnosis, by palpating the pulse, we understand it's the yin-yang balanced pulse, or it's a yang had a problem. It's a too much yang or deficient yang. It's too much yin or deficient yin. It can be easily find out from the pulse. Based on the pulse, on the yin-yang of the pulse, you will further understand what is the deficient type and what is the excess type. If it's really weak, forceless, that's deficient type. It's very powerful, full, that would be excess type. You see, you already know this. We can also easily find out it's a heat syndrome or cold syndrome. If it's heat, the blood must flow very fast. You can find the pulse beat, pumps very fast. That's the rapid pulse or even racing pulse. Usually they are caused by heat. But if it's cold, then you will know the cold contracts, has the nature of contraction. With the cold, the blood naturally will move slower. If the people has a cold problem, you're going to see the speed of blood flow is a kind of like slow, maybe less than 60 beats a minute. It's already getting you the idea, or it can be cold problems. Cold makes this happen. Then you will think about the interior and the exterior problem. If it's an exterior problem, you can imagine the pathogens are still in the superficial part of the body. Then you will very easily find the pulse. You just put your hands on the finger, you already find the pulse. Very light touch, you detect the pulse. That's an exterior problem. However, if you have to really push deep, and then you can find the pulse, that's the internal problems. You see, very easy, you already know this is yin problem or yang problem. This is the excess problem or deficient problem. This is the heat problem or cold problem. This is the exterior problem or interior problem. The 8 principles already have. when we do syndrome differentiation, when you make your diagnosis, after everything else, you're trying to know these 8 principles: yin-yang, interior, exterior, deficient or excess, heat and cold. So you already got this information. Then you palpate it longer, and you will think about the reason is even or not. If it's a reason, the space would be even. Bang, 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 bang. That one you know, oh, that's normal. If the patient comes like bang, 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 you see, the pulse skipped some paces. Of course, you know that's serious problems. Usually those problems have serious heart diseases. So that's another type you already know. Another one you see would be whether the blood flow is smooth. Like the flow of the water supposed to be move smoothly. That's normal. If there's blood stasis or there's phlegm blocks the vessel, you can expect the blood cannot move smoothly, kind of like you're driving the car. There's a speed bump, so your car will bump, bump. Occasionally, you'll see that types of bumping on the road. That kind of pulse, we call it a choppy pulse. The choppy pulse indicates there's a blood stasis. So here, by whatever I just mentioned, you already know a lot of different type of the pulse. Different pulse can give you different information. And other types of pulse may be the combination of the simple pulse. They will have a different name. You might need to remember them. But overall, 2 out of 3, 2/3 of the pulse, you can easily find out it. Don't worry. The thing is, it's not like if you don't know how to do pulse diagnosis, you cannot be a good TCM practitioner. It's not. It's because the TCM examinations are based on integrated method of all 4 examination methods. You need to use all other examination methods together to analyze your data and make syndrome differentiation. Pulse diagnosis is only one of the supplementary techniques. Old days, it might be more important because old days, when you examine the patient, you are not supposed to palpate everywhere, especially like old days in China. If you treat a female patient, you might not be able to see the patient at all. Patient usually stay behind a curtain, only put their hands out. Only by looking at the hand, the practitioners has to make their diagnosis, which makes the pulse diagnosis a big thing, plays a very important role in previous diagnosis. But now we can effectively use many other methods to make a combined integrated syndrome differentiation. Based on this, what I'm trying to convince you is don't be scared by the pulse. It's not as complex as you thought. So hopefully you will have a confidence in learning the pulse.
Pulse and pulse image.
Let's introduce some concepts. One is called pulse. The pulse is the rhythmic beat felt by the fingertip. This rhythmic beat is caused by the heart. We know that the heart governs blood, governs vessel. The pulse is generated by the heart qi, especially by heart yang qi. By touching the comprehensive image of the position, shape, intensity, rhythm, and the rate displayed by the pulse, mainly in Cunkou, in the pulse artery, in this area, we call this a pulse image. When you put hands here, you find the high bone first. You palpate the radial bone, the tip of it, you see there's a bone bigger than the other parts. In TCM, we simply call it high bone. Put your middle finger in the high bone, so the index finger will close to your finger and the fourth finger to the elbow. Put it like this. and curve your fingers about 45 degrees, like this one. This pulse we detected is called the Cunkou pulse. A set of information can be detected by the 3 fingers. From there, you know how deep is the pulse, the position, the shape. When you say shape of the pulse, you can imagine the length, the width of it, the intensity, forceful or not, the rhythm and the rate. All those informations put it together constitute an image. That image is called a pulse image. By understanding the pulse image, we can understand the rise and the fall of qi and the blood in the whole body and the functional status of viscera as a basis for diagnosing disease, because we know the pulse is the cooperation of full body's qi, blood, and zang organs and meridians function. They together create the pulse image. This kind of method is called pulse diagnosis.
What do you feel under your finger in pulse taking?
The pulse you palpated is on the radial side. There's a radial pulse goes through this area. There's several things underneath when you palpate on this. Underneath, there's a vessel, the radial artery. You're going to palpate through the vessel to detect the information about the blood running inside of it. This kind of feelings are very subjective to the judgment and the feeling of the practitioners. By palpate, you get what you think you get, and from there you infer your result. While you are putting your fingers on the artery areas, in these areas, you need to focus on your fingers, totally concentrate on your fingers. You can think about it like the green awning. The green awning is empty inside. You put hands on it. This white side is full, but the green part is like a tube. It's empty inside. The green tube is kind of like your vessel. Your fingers are actually putting on top through the skin. You are trying to detect the vessel condition. If you palpate the awning, the empty part and the full part, the feelings are different when you push it. If it's empty, you can feel the elasticity. If it's hard, you are not going to feel the plasticity of the vessel wall. The wall, like this part, the whitish, greenish part, is thicker than the pure green one side. When your finger palpate on it, you can actually feel the difference. If you push a little bit, palpate the thick ones, the wall will give you different feelings on the more thin ones. There's a difference when your hands palpate it on the vessels. So that's the same idea. While you put fingers on the artery, first you detect is the wall of the vessel. The condition of the vessel will give you a set of information. For example, in a regular person, the vessel should be full of elasticity. It shouldn't be too tightened. Just like a healthy person, it should be flexible in moving, not rigid like the neck. If the neck is rigid, it cannot move flexibly. But if it's soft, flexible, you can feel some elasticity. In cold winter, cold contracts. You will feel the blood vessel becomes contracted, so you feel the tight of the vessel wall. That pulse can be natural phenomenon for regular people in winter, but also happen to people who has a cold condition. The cold condition makes the vessel wall contracted, so you feel the tight vessel. Otherwise, it should be moderate, not too loose, not too tight. You can compare this normal artery like this, but with the cold, it can contract like this. You can feel the tightness of the vessel. If people has a liver disease, liver is associated with tendon, with fascia. The wall of the artery are actually made of different layers of the muscle fibers. each muscle fiber are wrapped by the fascia. So if a fascia, which is tendon, has problem due to liver disease, it becomes very stiff. The feeling is kind of like you are touching the wire. The wire is kind of like a violin. Violin has a wire, has a string. With liver disease, the vessel wall can be as tight as a wire. So you touch on the pulse, you are not feeling the flexible of the pulse. What you feel is a tightened string. We call it the wire pulse. That's usually seen in patients with liver disease or when people very scared, in great pain. You see people in great pain, their body are tightened because of the pain. You can see the change of the wall becomes tense. That's the information given by the wall of the vessel. The pulsation is kind of jumping, kind of like pushing to your fingertip. This is the pulse. The finger, put it on the vessel. The pulse goes like this. Boom, boom, boom. You can feel this. Sometimes superficially you can feel it. Sometimes you cannot. You have to push in to feel the strength of the pulsation. When we talk about the condition of the vessel has influence on the pulse, it is the wall becomes very tight. So you can feel the vessel like a line, and you can feel that in a pathological change when it's become tight, when it become wiry-like. So that's the thing we diagnose. We examine the wall of the vessel. Then we're going to know the blood inside. The blood inside the vessel has a huge impact on the pulse image. Generally, for a regular person, the blood amount should be sufficient. There's a sufficient blood volume and runs smoothly and evenly, so you can feel the pulse is evenly jumping, pushing to your fingertip. You can feel it. The strength is the same. The rhythm is the same, even rhythm. And the rate of moving is not too fast, it's not too slow. Usually when you palpate the pulse for a healthy person, it's normally like 70s, 80s, no more than 90s. Those are all acceptable because depending on people's situation, the age, the work, like athletes, usually they have a slower heartbeat. But people on the weaker side usually has a faster rate. And then depending on the heat, like the body has a heat problem or cold problem, the speed can be faster or can be slower. And depending on whether or not there's a phlegm, there's a dampness, there's blood stasis, the condition will change as well. That's what we detect by checking the images. The pulse image is generated by the heart when the practitioners take the pulse. What really underneath, how he or she feels about the pulse or the pulse image are all up to the heart of the practitioner, because heart controls sun. Here we say pulse image is generated by heart because heart houses sun. We don't think it's brain give you the idea, but if you say brain, it's fine. We don't need to argue about this kind of thing because it's all up to the practitioner to explain what they really feel about the image of the pulse. So you can see that this kind of a diagnosis method needs practice. It takes practice to become better, become good.
Normal pulse condition.
In a normal physiological state, the function of the heart and the blood vessel is normal. The qi and the blood are running smoothly. The visceral functions are normal. If that is the situation, we are expected to see the pulse is moderate. The moderate associated with one Chinese word, huan, but the huan has different meaning. When huan directly translated as moderate, depending on the context, the meaning will be very different. When it refers to the wall of the vessel, it means the vessel itself is not too tense or not too loose. When it refers to the speed of the blood flow, moderate pulse refers to the speed is not too slow and not too fast. When it comes to the size, moderate, it means the size is just regular, not too big and not too small as well. And forceful, you should be able to easily find the pulse. Force is associated with yang qi. You think about the pulsation. The pulsation is blood bumping into your fingers. That is the movement. That is the yang qi. If people does not have the yang qi, the blood cannot bump into your finger eye, the belly of the finger. That would be difficult. For healthy people, yang qi is sufficient. Your pulse is supposed to be forceful. You should be, relatively speaking, easy to find your pulse. If your pulse pump to your finger belly very light, very weak, that means that the yang is not sufficient, because it's the yang moves the blood. The pulsation of the blood is driven by yang qi, especially hard yang qi. If yang is insufficient, you can imagine the pulse is not forceful. So by looking at the strength, whether or not it's forceful, you can understand the condition of yang qi as well. The pulsation for a healthy person is moderate, forceful. The reason is even. So those are the key words for a healthy pulsation. We always need to know what's normal. By knowing what's normal, we know the things away from normal are abnormal. That's the usual philosophy of comparing what is a pathological state and what is a physiological state.
Formation of the pulse condition.
Now let's talk about the principle of the formation of the pulse condition. What contributed to the formation of a pulse condition? Pulse, which is felt by fingers, the eye of the finger or finger belly, is decided mainly by three factors. One is by heart yang qi, because heart yang qi is the driving force. First of all, we know is the heart qi. Heart governs the blood circulation, governs the production and the circulation of the blood, especially the heart yang qi. Heart yang qi is the driving force for pulsation of the blood. Another is affected by blood vessel. The wall of the blood vessel will have an influence on the pulse. If the vessel is smooth, flexible, it will help the blood move smoothly. If the vessel itself has a problem, like a narrow of the vessel, hardening of the vessel, can all has an influence on the flow of the blood. Depending on the vessel to confine the blood to running inside. Please notice that the vessel are made of muscle and tendon as well. So the vessel, even though it's governed by the heart, when you say heart yang qi, one is the driving force, another is the warmth provided by the heart yang qi. With the warmth, the vessel is soft and flexible. If there's a lack of the yang qi, the vessel will be affected and the pulse will be affected as well. And next one is the blood itself, whether the blood is sufficient or not. By the sufficient of the blood, it will show the speed is moderate, not too fast, not too slow. The force, the pulse that responds to the finger eye or finger belly are forceful. The reason of a blood flow is even. Sufficient blood can nourish the heart, make the heart function well. When the heart can function well, it can provide the driving force and the warmth to the whole body, including the vessel. You're going to see a regular pulsation. Qi and blood are the material base for formation of the pulse condition. Sufficiency and deficiency of qi and blood directly influence the sensation of pulse felt by the fingers. If the qi and blood are sufficient, the pulse is moderate in size. The vessel can be too big if they're full of heat. You know, heat is yang. The yang not only moves the blood forward quickly, but the yang also has the character of moving outwards. So it will make the blood vessel extended, makes the blood vessel feels big. But in a cold condition, the blood vessel can be constricted, become smaller, and you can feel it. When you feel it, You never feel the diameter of the blood vessel. You cannot put your hands in, you cannot feel it. So whatever you say, the size of the vessel is how you feel under your finger belly, how you feel about it. The feeling in cold days, it can be smaller, becomes thready, means it's thin. The size of it is thin. But in extreme heat, the blood vessel extended, it can feel large. The width becomes large. So here, in a normal situation, for a regular person, when qi and blood are sufficient, the pulse is moderate in size and strong. So you can feel the pulsation is forceful. However, if the qi and blood are deficient, the pulse is steady and forceless. When it's deficient, the pulse cannot be extended. Instead of being extended, it shrinks. So you feel the width is steady and also it's forceless. It's weak. The bouncing into the finger belly is not that strong. You feel the forceless of bouncing, or you have to press in to feel the little force. If qi and blood are stagnated, blood will not flow smoothly. The pulse condition will become steady, rough, or slow, depending on the situation. Rough means it cannot move smoothly, or because it's blocked, it can be slow or it can be steady, or possibly can indicate there's a qi and blood stagnated. So the pulsation or pulse condition can reflect the conditions of qi and the blood. Next one, the normal pulse condition is the result of the coordination of the 5 zang organs. The formation of the pulse condition is closely related to the heart, vessels, qi and blood, and to the overall functional activities of the 5 zang organs. That's true because even you think about the qi and blood, qi and blood is generated by the coordination of the zang organs. Only when all the zang organs can function well, the qi and blood can be produced sufficiently, then you can expect to see healthy pulse. Otherwise, there will be pathological change. Among them, kidney stores the essence, is the root of the primordial yang and the primordial yin. So the kidney is the root of the pulse as well. We're going to discuss the pulse examination method and also analysis, the pulse image. What's the possible indication? If you find this video helpful, please give me a like, subscribe to it, and share it with others. See you in my next video. All the best!